Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tia Gamble, and I'm joined with our sales engineer, Gavin Olson. We are so excited to have you with us today because we love helping others find solutions to their cloud learning experience and ultimately development of necessary skills. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few reminders. First, the webinar will be recorded and shared with you via email within the next 36 hours. Second, we welcome questions throughout the demo, and you have the opportunity to submit your questions using the questions box and your attendee control panel. You may send your questions in at any time during the demo. Lastly, at the conclusion of today's webinar, there will be a brief 2-minute survey. We truly value your feedback as it helps us improve the content we offer and your future webinar experience with us. So, without further ado, I'll let Gavin take the lead.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tia. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you all real fast. There we go. Awesome. So just to kind of echo what Tia said, I'm going to be the one actually walking you through the Cloud Academy platform today. But throughout this whole process, really just kind of think of me as your Cloud Academy product expert. Any questions that come up, please throw them my way via the chat, and I'll be happy to address them and provide some clarification where I can. For the flow of this demo, how I'm going to do it is really show you how with ease, you guys can get the platform up and running through our organization tab, as well as some of the analytics and skill intelligence you can actually leverage from within the platform. I will briefly walk us through the end user experience to really show you how they're going to experience the platform, utilize our learning content, and then to wrap things up, I'm actually going to hop back into our admin side of things and show you our content engine. That's where all the customization and curation really takes place within Cloud Academy, and it really is a fantastic feature. So with that, let's dive in. So when you first start off on our admin panel, you're brought to our organization tab. Here is very simply, once users are actually brought into the system, you can organize them into teams. It also kind of helps think of these as simply online classrooms. This can be done in a variety of ways, whether it be a specific job role, any initiatives you have up and coming, whether it be certification, onboarding, but we also can very easily mirror your organizational hierarchy. This can be as complex or simple as needed. The key takeaway here is this does create a waterfall of data security flow, where all the teams at the top are going to have data access to all the teams nestled beneath. Fantastic. So now that we've organized our team, our users into the correct teams, let's go in and find our team's baseline. That's going to be done through our training tab and through our assessments. And what I mean by find your team's baseline essentially is just to get to know your team. Where exactly do their tech strengths lie? And maybe, where are some of those skill gaps we might need to address going forward? Incredibly easy to assign a new assessment cycle. Simply hit new assessment cycle. And we're going to give you the option to choose between two formats. First is going to be a written exam. For our baseline assessments, the written exams will be a bit more on the shorter side. That's simply because we don't want to intimidate the user from the moment they log into the system. But we also allow you to choose from a lab challenge. I think these are absolutely fantastic because what this allows you to do is actually bring a user into a live environment, whether it be AWS, Azure, GCP, maybe even a command line interface for some software development. And essentially, we're going to ask you to carry out a variety of tasks. The key thing here, though, is these tasks are going to be fully unguided. So it's a great way to come in and find out what exactly does this user truly know. As a manager, you absolutely have the ability to track your team's progress through an assessment cycle. We're going to show you the overall assessment score, the skill map, showing you, hey, here are where your skills really lie today. But I think more importantly, we're actually going to show you, hey, here are your skill gaps you might need to address going forward. This is typically a great place to actually loop in maybe a content curator from Cloud Academy, because they're going to help you and point you in the direction and maybe even help you build out some crucial content to attack these a bit more head on and streamline the process. But so now that we understand our skill gaps, let's assign some training plans to attack those skill gaps a bit more head on. Again, this is done through our training tab and through our training plans. Assigning a new training plan is incredibly easy. Simply hit new training plan. With ease, you can assign to individual team members, your organization as a whole, or a specific subteam. You absolutely have the ability to customize a training plan to fit your needs. but also you can choose from a variety of our out-of-the-box training plans. You can filter based on a specific cloud provider as well as emerging tech topics. I'll go ahead and choose AWS for today. And let's do our AWS Cloud Architect Starter. We'll go ahead and hit select. And when assigning a training plan to your team, we're going to give you a few key metrics to set those internal expectations and goals. And those are going to be content duration as well as average time to completion. And utilizing that, you can tell your team, hey, go in, spend 2, 3, 4 hours a week on this training plan. However, we understand a more common use case might be to simply set a due date. Say, hey, we really need you guys to be up to speed, be able to walk the walk and talk the talk come the end of September. Select that due date. The weekly time commitment will adjust with you. From there, you can go ahead, review and confirm and assign. And just like that, you'll have assigned your first training plan. One of the great things about this is you fully have the ability to actually stack and sequence these training plans. So once a user finishes the first, they will seamlessly dive into the next. We find this really helps maintain that momentum to learning for the end user, but also really helps create a great culture of learning within your organization. From a stakeholder's perspective, though, what this is going to do is provide very predictable upskilling. We provide specific due dates, and through that, you'll be able to say, all right, here's where I can expect my tech skills to lie at a specific date in the future. As a manager, I'm sure you absolutely want the ability to track your team's progress through an assessment, through a training plan. Absolutely have the ability to do so. Go ahead, select the training plan. We're going to give you a quick overview of the team, how the team as a whole is progressing, how their skills are actually growing. If you scroll down, you're going to get a bit more granular view, see how the individual users are tracking towards that deadline, how they're scoring. If you come into settings, we'll be able to turn on automatic nudges, where essentially as a user falls behind, you can let Cloud Academy be the bad guy, try to reach out, inspire them to catch up. But luckily, as a manager, you do have the ability to send a manual nudge. This is going to appear to come directly from you and not Cloud Academy, so you do have the ability to be a bit more direct if need be. From here, let's hop into the Intelligence tab. This naturally becomes administrators and managers' favorite tab because this is going to be where all the analytics and more importantly, skill intelligence is truly going to lie within Cloud Academy. I'll start off with our Analytics tab because this is a very simple consumption metric. How much content is really being consumed and by who? You absolutely have the ability to filter them based on specific content types. A common use case we actually see with our partners is to filter them based on specific exams. Let's say you have a certification initiative coming up. You can filter based on the specific certification prep exam. Click into it, see who's actually taken it, but more importantly, we're actually going to show you what was that last score they achieved. In utilizing this, you can set your kind of internal expectations. Say, hey, go to Cloud Academy, show you can get at least an 80% on this specific exam, and that's how we know you're actually ready to sit in and participate for the specific exam. From here, let's dive into our skill profiles because this really is a key differentiator for us at Cloud Academy. We are not only going to show you what your overall top platform is, where your competency level lies, but also your skill growth rate, where you actually started during those initial baseline assessments and how your team has actually grown over time. So one thing I really want to call out here though is this skill growth rate is only populated by actions where you are validating knowledge and by no means fed by consumption. What I mean by that is a user has to properly answer a quiz on, answer a question on a quiz, exam, or properly carry out a lab to really have an impact on the skill profile. You absolutely have the ability to filter in based on what you're interested in, whether it be a specific cloud provider or maybe even a specific platform domain. So let's say, hey, we have a bunch of security projects coming up for AWS. You can filter in this domain, see where exactly do your key competencies lie here. Is this even an area where you guys are currently upskilling? But more importantly, if you scroll down, we're actually going to show you a leaderboard. Who are those power users we have within this domain that might be great people to actually throw on upcoming projects or might be good internal resources to lean on going forward. From here, let's briefly hop over into the end user side of things. To do so, we'll just simply click on this home up in the top left-hand side. And first, we're brought to our end user dashboard. A few of the key areas to really pay attention to here are first going to be our My Training. Here is where the user can find all the learning content associated with them. They can with ease simply cycle through and dive back in where they left off. If you see this date here, you can click in and even schedule training and add it to your calendar. If we scroll down here, you'll see a recommendations tab, and simply as users actually work through learning content, the platform is going to recommend content to really fuel their learning experience. But one of the key areas here is this is actually where the user is going to experience their own individual skill profiles. If we go and click on Michael's user profile, he's going to see, hey, what team's am I on, but also his own individual skill growth rate. He'll be able to actually track those 4 key competencies that he is truly interested in upskilling to growing with his career, tag them, and easily track them here. Again, this is only populated by actions where they're validating knowledge. If you come into manage skills, they're going to get a more comprehensive overview of where exactly do their skills lie today. They're going to see what exactly have I completed. Again, my skill growth rate. What are those last handful of activities that really impacted my skill profile? But then if they scroll down, they can actually see every skill that they've actually interacted with. They'll be able to see where they rank across the entire Cloud Academy user base. Where exactly are they scoring? Are they beginner, a little bit more intermediate, maybe even advanced? And then they can actually star for better tracking. They can even click in. Again, see the skill growth rate for this specific domain. They can scroll down. If they want to improve their score here, they can jump into a quiz, as well as they can actually see a condensed leaderboard and see where exactly do I stand up in my organization when it comes to this domain. You can utilize this for some friendly competition, or I also like to think of this as simply a kind of a guide to internal resources. Let's say you're working through an analytics project, you're really struggling, you can come here, say, okay, Allie's the top user here within our organization. She might be a good person to lean on for some help. From here, let's hop into our content library, because this really is where the end user experience really comes to life. So our content library is fully public facing, so we highly recommend you come, take a look, see what we have to offer. There are a few key ways you can really navigate this. If you do choose to partner with us and customize any content, that custom content will always be up here for easy accessibility to your users. If you're just getting started on your cloud journey, you can find the fundamentals here, specific cloud providers, specific job roles. This is not a comprehensive list. We are actually very excited throughout these first few quarters in 2022 to be releasing 15 additional job roles. If certification issues are important to you, you can filter based on all the certifications we offer, as well as a variety of different tech topics. But for this, I will simply focus on AWS. When you do click into a category, you're going to see the few ways our category truly breaks up. The learning paths we offer, our variety of courses, our variety of labs, quizzes, and exams. Do you want to take a moment to actually talk you through the specific labs we do offer? First is going to be a hands-on lab, which I'm actually going to dive into one here shortly, really show you what exactly that's going to look like for the end user. But it's a fully guided lab experience. We're going to ask a user to go from point A to point B to point C, but we're going to instruct them the entire way through. We have our lab challenge, which I know I touched on briefly during our assessment portion. Again, a fully unguided lab experience, a great way to find out what does this user truly know. From there, we also have our lab playgrounds. These are fantastic and really appreciated by our more intermediate to advanced level user, because essentially we're going to provide them a live sandbox environment. They can go in, test newfound skills, but without the fear of breaking something in a production environment. We also have our quizzes and exams. So let's hop into a learning path, because that really is how we kind of bring together all our learning content for our users. So a learning path is going to be the Cloud Academy approach to learning. We have a learn, validate, do model where you're going to be learning in our courses, validating through our quizzes and exams, and doing in our labs. If we scroll down here, so you'll see our courses. So our courses and all of our learning content are fully built out and maintained by our own internal content team. And the great thing about that is they really took the end user experience at top of mind. Personally, for me as a recent college student, I absolutely hated my Tuesdays and Thursdays because I knew I was about to sit through a 2.5 hour lecture. Lucky for me at Cloud Academy, we took a bit more of a micro session approach. We find it makes not only a better user experience, a learning experience, but it makes the content much more consumable to the end user, as well as it really helps them better plan their day. Hey, if you only have half an hour in between, lunch and your first meeting, jump into Cloud Academy and see how many of these micro sessions you can truly work through. Let's go ahead and dive into a hands-on lab, see what exactly that's going to look like for our end user. And they really are a key differentiator for us at Cloud Academy. The key thing is they are actually fully text-based, which means they can essentially be seamlessly updated on the fly. So you can be rest assured as new features releases are coming from Azure, AWS, GCP, those features are going to be reflected here in our environments. We'll simply hit open environment. Personally, for me, when I work through these, I really like to go split screen. I find it makes it much easier to not only follow along, but also simply copy and paste in the credentials. And just like that, you'll be able to spin up your own instance of an AWS management console. But the key thing here is we actually bridge the gap between this console and the Cloud Academy platform. What that's going to allow us to do is actually conduct validation checks as the user works through the content. Essentially, to check, has this user properly carried out this lab? Are they ready to continue on to the next step? Let me go ahead and kind of find one and show you what exactly that is going to look like. Validation check, we can go ahead and hit start check. And again, checking, has this user properly carried out this lab? One of the things this is this is a kind of action that actually feeds into a user skill profile. If you see the specific skill here, elastic load balancing, unfortunately, since I got this action wrong, that skill is going to decrease within my skill profile. If I was to go back and fix it, that's a skill is going to increase. Let's go ahead and end this lab. And I will walk you through one of our ongoing assessments because they are also incredibly valuable, especially when it does come to certification initiatives. So our certification prep exams are always going to mirror the real life exam for allotted time and number of questions, but we also really pride ourselves on pulling from a massive bank of questions. So whether you come in the first time, get 100%, 50%, we highly recommend you dive back in, take the exam a few times. It's very unlikely you're going to see the same question twice. So just to walk you through what this experience is going to look like, but also to talk you through one of our key features that we typically have on all of our quizzes and exams, and that is going to be called IRT, or item response theory. So essentially, as a user works through an exam, the platform is actually taking into account how they're performing and going to base the difficulty of upcoming questions on how they did. So let's say they started off very strong, got their first 5 questions right. That 6th question is going to be a bit more challenging. The inverse is also very true. Let's say they really struggled, only got 1 or 2 questions right. That 6th question is going to be a bit easier and a bit more forgiving. Go ahead, hit next. We highly recommend users skip questions if they don't know the answer because you can get lucky once or twice, but that's not going to be a true reflection of your skills. Let's go ahead, submit the exam, show you the comprehensive review we provide our students. Unfortunately, I only got a 0%. We're actually going to show you how exactly your answers broke down, what you got correct, skip, and even what you got wrong. But we're also going to show you a very comprehensive overview of it. Here are the skills that we actually assessed throughout this exam and how exactly they changed. If you feel you can do a bit better, simply hit improve your score, and that's going to take you directly into a quiz based on this domain. But let's say actually throughout this learning path, you realize, hey, I actually don't know a lot on compute for AWS. You can go in, hit browse training, and that's going to directly take you to all the learning content associated with that domain. If you scroll down, we'll provide you a very comprehensive answer review. We'll show you what you got wrong, give you an explanation. One thing I really value is we actually give you a link directly back to AWS. That's kind of us at Cloud Academy saying, hey, don't only take our word for it. Here's the answer and here's the explanation coming directly from the source. So that really is the end user experience. And to wrap things up here, I'm actually going to hop back into our admin panel because I really want to walk you guys through our content engine. So you fully have the ability to customize, curate anything you've seen so far, and that's going to be done in our content engine. The only thing you're not going to see here in this specific UI is assessments, not because you can't customize them. They are just a bit more of a heavy lift on our end, so we do ask you loop in a content expert when doing so. A few common use cases around our content engine is around custom resources. I'm sure as an organization, you guys have a variety of great internal content. You can actually upload those here and integrate it within Cloud Academy in our content. Fully have the ability to even customize one of those hands-on labs that we just saw. Go ahead, hit create, choose your lab provider. And from here, you can drag and drop the specific steps and validation checks you want your teams to work through. You can even get a bit more granular in the customization. Simply hit this pencil icon. And here is where you can add your own common hints, tips, and tricks, common lookouts for your organization, maybe even bring in imagery of your own production environment, anything to really localize it to your organization and better help your team streamline this lab. And lastly, we even fully have the ability to customize a learning path that we saw. So when customizing anything within our content engine, we're going to give you a few key. You're going to be able to either start from scratch if you know exactly what you want to build, or clone any existing content as a good starting point. I'll go ahead and clone the one that we just saw. Localize the title to your organization. Go ahead, hit next. And here in this content selection piece is really where you can pick and choose, hey, what content does our team really need to work through? If you know your team's already fully up to speed when it comes to storage, you can remove all the related content. If you want them to, they're kind of struggling with networking, this kind of content should probably be covered sooner rather than later. You can simply drag and drop this in order that makes sense. You also can fully bring in additional content that you feel is really going to benefit your team. Upload a custom resource, add an additional step, bring in additional labs, courses as a whole, as well as exams to really validate, is my team properly understanding this? Go ahead, complete selection, and then drag and drop this to whatever order that makes sense for you. We'll go ahead and hit save. And we even give the ability to pick and choose, hey, here are the skills that we actually want to assess. Add them here, as well as even give you the ability to remove steps that are no longer important to you. You also can customize these skills to your own internal business objectives and products, tag them to specific learning content, and then they'll be easily tracked from within the skill profile. Fantastic. So that really is all I had for you guys today. I just checked the chat, and if there's no more questions, I'll give you guys a bit of time back in your day. I appreciate you all tuning in.
Awesome. Thank you, Gavin. And I want to thank everybody that attended today's demo. Now, before we part our ways, there are some quick reminders. Today's webinar was recorded and will be shared with you via email in the next 36 hours. Just in case you would like to share with a colleague that couldn't attend, or if you missed a section due to a distraction. Again, a brief end of the webinar survey will pop up at the conclusion of this webinar, so please take a moment to help us improve. Lastly, you can find more on-demand webinars on our website at cloudacademy.com/webinars. On behalf of Cloud Academy, we thank you for joining us today. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we hope to see you soon.